So ancient Egyptian art was influenced by Greek and Roman art, among other things. But what's unique about Egyptian art is that it was created more out of a sense of functionality than purely for aesthetics. While these works are certainly beautiful to look at, that was not their primary purpose. For example, a statue of a god was intended to hold the spirit of that god. Paintings in tombs were meant to guide the spirit of the deceased in the afterlife. And certainly we understand the concept of functionality today. I mean, you look at, a wine glass or a dinner plate. These things can be designed to be aesthetically pleasing, but their primary purpose is to serve a function, in this case, holding your food or your beverages. But we understand today the idea of art for art's sake, just purely for aesthetics, either pleasing to the eye, pleasing to the ear in the case of music or literature or anything like that. The ancient Egyptians didn't really have a concept of that. Their art was primarily to serve a purpose. To the point that we don't even know the names of the artists who actually created, say, statues or tomb paintings or anything like that, because in ancient Egyptian culture, the work of art belonged to the person who commissioned it rather than the person who actually did the work to create it. So it would be like if Justin Bieber recorded a song for his record label, it would be released under the name of the record label, not under his name, and that kind of thing. You look back at say Ramses the Great. Okay, we've got there's statues and carvings and drawings all attributed to Ramses the Great. I doubt very seriously that he got out there with a hammer and chisel and did all of that himself. But that's the way it worked. It focused on the person who commissioned it rather than the actual person who performed the labor. So we don't know necessarily who the actual individual that created these things. The ancient Egyptian art we find in museums today all around the world was once used to tell stories. That was how they passed information down from generation to generation. It's how they told of their victories and their triumphs and occasionally their defeats, perhaps, although they weren't too big on that. It was also kind of used for propaganda purposes, especially in the case of Ramses the Great. But it was used to tell stories. Stories of triumphant kings, mighty warriors, powerful deities. These works of art were used to pass these stories down. So all art can tell a story. But the art of ancient Egypt served this function to a degree seldom seen either before or since.